that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils and snares, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've numberless days to sing God's praise. And when we first begun, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I
Amazing Grace, the hymn chosen by Dorothy for her service today. It's having family and friends around that bring comfort when faced with the task of having to say goodbye. On behalf of those who love Dorothy, I warmly welcome you as we honour and celebrate her life. I would also like to welcome those who are unable to be with us and are joining us by live stream. My name is Delma Carpenter, and along with Jesse and his colleagues from Parkside Funerals, we feel privileged to have been asked to conduct this service for you. Just as a reminder, if you haven't done so already, now is a really great time for you to turn your mobile phones onto silent. So how do we begin to describe Dorothy? Dorothy was a homemaker who created a warm and loving nest for her family to call home, a nest filled with love, laughter and memories. There are few greater gifts than a smile. Dorothy was gifted with a beautiful smile that endeared her to many. Many of you would have experienced her warmth and her welcome. A beaming smile, the kettle was on, tablecloth on the table, and the homemade biscuits came out. The simple things in life brought Dorothy so much joy. Watching little finches and red robin breasts outside her kitchen window, going for a drive in the country, having a cup of tea or coffee with a vanilla slice, watching a movie, and most importantly, being around her family. Nothing was ever too much trouble for Dorothy when it came to her family or anyone else who needed help. She really was one in a million, and of course that's what makes her loss harder to bear. Dealing with the death, particularly the death of someone that you love, is never easy. There is a sadness we feel, especially when we know we won't ever see them again. Part of who we are and where we came from is gone. Focusing on all the memories that you shared and the beautiful woman Dorothy was can help bring light into your darker days. There is one constant truth that will hold true. You will always be connected to Dorothy by the love you share and the memories that you hold. There is a quote that says, "When you feel sadness, look again into your heart, and you shall see in truth that you're weeping for that which has been your inspiration." And I feel sure that today we're saying farewell to a lady who's been an inspiration to you all. I'd like to share with you Dorothy's eulogy that's been lovingly written by her daughter Jenny. Dorothy Margaret Redburn was born in Scottsdale on the 8th of December 1933 to her parents Dorothy and Leslie. At the time, Dorothy and Les lived in Ringarooma, and that is where young Dorothy spent her first 5 years. In 1938, with Dorothy at the age of 6, the family moved to Ledgerwood, where her father worked driving log trucks. In 1939, the family moved from Ledgerwood to the tiny settlement of Rose's Tears in the northeast highlands of Tassie, just below Ben Lomond, where they spent 3 years during the war. Her father was still a logger and worked long hours in the forest in the northeast, while Dorothy's mother spent time looking after Dorothy and trying to make a home of a fairly rudimentary house. Dorothy loved living in the mountains and going to a small school where all the classes were in one room. As she got a bit older, to make money, Dorothy took on the job of trapping rabbits and then drying their skins on the fence until the furrier came to buy them. She often talked about her carefree existence in the forest and how the family and the little town was often cut off by snow during the winter. When she was about 11 years old, they were on the move again, this time to Highclere in the northwest. At that time, there were restrictions on the use of petrol because of the war, but this did not stop them. They packed their belongings, which included Dorothy's horse Tilly, into the back of the small truck and left by night. In Highclere, they had a milking cow, and the cow was allowed to wander down the highway, eating grass from the verge. Dorothy's job was to ride her bike down the highway after school to let her cow know it was time to come home. Again, Dorothy loved country life. They lived in Highclere until 1949, when the family moved into Tattersall Street in the big city of Burnie. Dorothy was now 16 and almost immediately started a secretarial course at the Stella Maris College. This led to her getting an office job at Coogan's furniture store. Apart from work, Dorothy loved to play tennis with her friends and would go to the local pictures and the dances. She also loved shoes, but her younger sister Cheryl did too. Dorothy would come home to find her shoes back on the shelf, but unfortunately Cheryl did not know her left from her right, and the shoes were always in the wrong order. Once she discovered her sister had been at it again, and Dorothy could then be heard yelling, "Mum, she's been in my room again." Cheryl loved to be with her big sister and would often turn up at Coogan's to see her. Dorothy's workmates would say, "Look outside, you have a visitor again." and there would be Cheryl sitting on the bench. Dorothy would sometimes hide her under her desk until Grandma came to collect her. In 1954, Dorothy decided she needed to fly the nest. Against her mother's wishes, she enlisted in the RAAF and headed off to Point Cook in Victoria. As you can see by her photo on the front table, she certainly could have been the pin-up girl for the Defence Department. Dorothy often spoke very fondly about life there, rushing around in her RAAF bike amongst other duties. She just loved it. It was also at this time that she met the love of her life, Michael, who was also in the Air Force and based at Point Cook. To avoid being split up by the Air Force due to Michael's imminent posting to Ballarat, they had a very quick courtship and got married in 1955. Dorothy and Michael settled in married life in Ballarat, and it wasn't long before they were joined by Terence, Julie and Jennifer. Life was tough, hot summers and freezing cold winters in a little house. At the end of Michael's RAAF term, and with the knowledge that their family was not yet complete, they decided to move to Tasmania and moved in with Dorothy's parents and her sister Cheryl. After the arrival of Tony, they moved into a new house in 58 Payne Street, which is where they happily stayed for 60 years. Dorothy was a very strong and caring woman, and this came to the fore after Tony was born. She made sure that he got the best care and was treated the same as her other children. She also fought for him to be included in mainstream life. Jenny, Julie and Terry remember how their mum would spend nights stretching and massaging his legs and arms. Maybe that's why Aidan became a physio. It's in his blood. This was also evident when their dad became a diabetic. We all say that her love and care carried him to reach his 81 years. Dorothy rejoined the workforce when she started at the Napoli restaurant in Burnie. She started as a waitress before becoming the coffee lady and was known by all around town for her cheerful, sunny disposition, always ready with a cheerful word to her customers, and her amazing collection of earrings. Her collection grew each time she forgot to put them on in the morning. If this happened, it was a quick trip to Coles to buy a new set before she could start work. Couldn't be seen without her earrings. Dorothy was a great cook, and her traditional Sunday roast lunch has been enjoyed by many of us here. Sunday's tradition used to be church for the kids, roast lunch, and this was followed by one of the many outdoor adventures. This could include bushwalks to waterfalls, much to some grumpy kids' horror, or it could mean going to see another of the many dams that were built at that time, and this of course was also not number one on the kids' list of things to do. Not to go hungry, Dorothy packed a picnic lunch for the Sunday drives, and it was egg sandwiches with homemade cakes and biscuits, and it didn't matter where you were, she always served it on a tablecloth. Dorothy's life became more enriched when her grandchildren and great-grandchildren arrived. Grandma, as she became known, would spend happy times with them all. Lots of afternoon tea parties with her famous egg sandwiches. Grandma's lolly jar was also a big enticement for all. Upon arriving at Grandma's, everyone made a quick detour into the lounge to the jar before greeting anyone else who were inevitably in the kitchen around the table. Another of Grandma's traditions was Christmas. Initially, all the family Christmas meals were had around the kitchen table, and this worked for a while, but when the grandkids outgrew the table in the laundry, we moved to the pool room, where a sheet of chipboard on the top of the pool table became our new Christmas table. Also part of Christmas was Grandma's famous Christmas bags. Throughout the year, she would shop for wonderful items and then spend many hours working on who should get what. Always to be exact, same value and number of items, no favouritism. She loved to see their faces as they delved into their bags. The collection for this year has already begun, although getting a little trickier now with new teenagers. Grandma was very proud of all her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and there were photos of them throughout the house. However, pride of place for the grandkids was the mantelpiece. To get to this location, one first had to complete a university degree, and there were no exceptions. This was a tough location to crack, and one to which the grandkids light-heartedly, but in reality really aspired. So after a very full and fulfilling life, it's time for Grandma to take a rest from the pain that has been her nearly constant companion for the last couple of years. She'll be horrified but secretly pleased that so many of you have taken the time out of your busy schedules to travel here today or to be present online. We say goodbye to a wonderful, warm and generous person who's been such a calming strong presence in the family. Grandma, who never had a bad word to say about anyone and was always ready to welcome new girlfriends, boyfriends and partners to the family with a smile, a friendly word, a cup of tea or coffee. She'll be sadly and greatly missed by all. Rest in peace. I'd now like to invite Dorothy's eldest son, Craig Armstrong, to come forward, and he's going to speak on behalf of the grandchildren.
Hi, my name's Craig and I'm the oldest of Dorothy's 10 grandchildren and dad to 2 of her 9 great-grandchildren. I'd like to take some time to share some memories of Grandma and some messages from all of the grandkids and great-grandchildren as well. My sister Michelle sent this message. Grandma meant the world to us and we feel so lucky to have had her and have so many special memories with her. She's filled our lives with so much love and laughter, and we'll never forget her and know that she's always with us. These are some of the memories that make us smile and cherish the time we had with her. So many road trips with the most delicious picnic lunches, trips to the beach. One trip a fish was trapped in a rock pool and Grandma wouldn't let us leave until we caught it. We took it back to her place and she cooked it for Tim to eat. Sleepovers were always so much fun. Grandma would take us to the video shop and let us all pick one movie each. Then we got to stay up late and have supper, which was super exciting because we didn't get to do that at home. So many special Christmas days together. Her Christmas puddings were the best. Having a grown-up table and a kids' table was always fun, and seeing her with a party hat on and the biggest smile. Grandma loved to chat. We have spent so many hours talking, laughing and reminiscing over the years. She used to love to tell us about her childhood and all the adventures she'd had. Shayla, Ava and Nate had so many fond memories too. They loved tea parties in the backyard with cordial in the teapot. Birthdays at Grandma's were always exciting. Everyone got to have a turn blowing out the candles. Shayla loved Grandma's butterfly cakes and Ava loved to share apple cakes with her. Trips to the movies and then out for lunch dates afterwards. Grandma loved to try to convince all the great grandkids to go for Hawthorn. She didn't have much luck with our lot though. Nate loved snuggling up under Grandma's arm to have a chat, and when leaving her house after a visit, she wouldn't let you go until you had a big hug and a sneaky lolly. She always made time to come to Grandparents' Day at sports days or Stedfords, and always let us know how proud of us she was. She was the best grandma and great-grandma in the world. This next message is from Christy, Carrie and Troy. How lucky we were to have her as our grandma. You spoiled us at every chance you had. One of our fondest memories were the sleepovers. We don't know how, but your rice bubbles were the tastiest ever. We look forward to our vitamin C after breakfast and the fun times with the dress-up box. No one ever went hungry at Grandma's and Granddad's, always a big spread of food that would magically appear. A highlight was visiting Grandma at the Napoli, where we would be treated to spiders and donuts and hot chips. Family gatherings were the best. Christmas lunch in the shed around the 8-ball table and the humongous Christmas goodie bag. We will miss sitting around your kitchen table chatting. Thanks for all the special memories, Grandma. We will cherish them forever. Kobe had a special relationship with Grandma. He always used to share a joke, and he put a couple here to share with the room. Why does it take a pirate a long time to learn the alphabet? Because they spend years at sea. Why can't you tell a joke to an egg? Because it might crack up. He said he loves you and misses you, Grandma. The next message was from Alicia. My grandma was a wonderful woman and the very best grandma. It's difficult to put into a few seemingly insignificant words the very significant impact that she had on my life, but I'll do my best. Grandma exemplified the qualities that I value most. She was compassionate, kind, empathetic, generous. She was a shining example of the good that can be found in humanity. She was always willing to learn and grow and change as a person. She was open-minded, beyond the confines of her generation, and could never describe her as being stuck in her ways. My favourite story of my grandma was the story of how she defied Grandad and wider society in a pursuit of comfortable clothing. The story goes that she was sick and tired of dresses and skirts and wanted nothing more than the comfort and practicality of a pair of trousers. Despite being told absolutely not, she persisted, and persisted through what I'm told was a lengthy dose of the silent treatment. Smash the patriarchy, Grandma, burn it to the ground. So often, women can lose their identities in marriage, but she showed us all that it doesn't have to be that way. She showed us that women can use their voices and achieve greatness, and was an absolutely inspirational role model to us all. Grandma was strong-willed, opinionated and independent until the very end, traits that I will proudly carry with me throughout my life. My brother and I were the only grandchildren who didn't live locally, but we never felt less loved or less valued because we weren't there. She had a knack of making us feel like we were the most special children in the world. When we were in Burnie, we would wake up at the crack of dawn and jump into her bed and undo all her hair rollers so she could start the day. So helpful. She felt genuine joy in loving and spending time with her grandchildren, and in return, every single one of us felt genuine joy in loving and spending time with her. We will cherish the memories of the time we spent together. I love you, Grandma. You're one of a kind. Christopher sent the next message. There are endless stories and anecdotes that I could tell about Grandma. She was such a present and important part of my life from the start. I've had to narrow this down to the best. She always stepped up and was my strongest ally when things went wrong, like when I lost my tiny mind and dug up Grandad's garden multiple times. You could see the veins popping in his forehead while he tried to contain his rage, and there was Grandma telling him not to worry. It's just a garden, and I'm a growing boy, a growing curious boy. Thanks, Grandma, you really saved my bacon. Speaking of breakfast foods, have you ever felt so seen and understood by a person that you know your favourite breakfast is waiting for you on the table the second you wake up? I have. Despite always being the last to go to bed, Grandma was always the first up and ready for the day, and she always made sure she had my number one favourite breakfast ready to go. German sausage and tomato sauce on toast. I stand by my choices. Another fond food-related memory I have of Grandma's is famous potato salad. We always looked forward to yet another picnic by the Cam River, or a Sunday drive ending in a picnic waiting for that potato salad to make an appearance. To this day, every potato salad I have is compared to Grandma's, and to this day, every single one falls short. On a serious note, can we talk about the mantelpiece in Grandma's lounge room? That bloody mantelpiece. How I long for a place on the coveted mantelpiece. I tried so hard, but a 4-year-long apprenticeship didn't cut the mustard. I had to go to Switzerland and do another 4 years of study to get on there. But I made it, and it's my greatest accomplishment. Well above the 2 qualifications it took to get me there. I can't believe we're now saying goodbye. It's difficult to comprehend that this chapter is closed. I hope that I honour in this new chapter of being the kind person that she was, to be interested and engaged in every little thing that my family does, to show unconditional love to those I care for, and to nail a potato salad that I know she would be proud of. Rest in peace, Grandma. I'll miss you. The next message is from Dylan and Aidan. Grandma, you were certainly one of a kind, caring and wise, thoughtful soul that would always love to share a laugh and obviously a chat. Dylan and I will never forget the sleepovers during school holidays. From Grandad being unimpressed by the ball going in the veggie patch and you sticking up for us, to sitting down and making pink lemonade scones, to feeling safe and loved. and almost strangled by how tight you would tuck us in. But what takes the cake is the morning that you decide to put the green tomato sauce on your morning porridge, not only once, but twice. We love you, Grandma, and appreciate all that you've taught us. As much as we are sad that you've left us, I'm sure Grandad is happy to have you back. York asked if he could say a couple of words. Yeah.
Grandma, that was the best grandma a kid could ever want, and a great fellow all the Lord.
I'd also like to acknowledge messages of love from Tim and Mary, who can't be here today, but I know they are watching online. One of the last things I heard Grandma say that was she hoped she could hold on to meet her newest and great-grandchild. And while it's sad she didn't quite get to do that, I'm happy that Tim and Mary can announce the birth of their beautiful, healthy daughter, Maya Peyton Armstrong, yesterday. I know Tim and Mary will be great parents, and I'm sure Grandma will be watching all over us, including baby Maya. Grandma was an amazing person. She created a beautiful environment where we all felt safe, loved and connected to one another, and she made it look easy. I saw Grandma less in person this last year than in any other year of my life, and that makes this harder. We'd speak on the phone, and the boys would tell her about all the adventures from their week, and I'm glad we got to share those moments. I made it back in time to be with her before she passed, and in typical Grandma style, even as unwell as she was, she had special words for me and tried to make me feel better, and that was Grandma. She loved every single person in her family and always put herself last to make sure we felt special and the most important person in the room. And while it's hard to say goodbye, I know we all feel lucky to have had her in our lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. I'd like to invite great-granddaughter Indy to come forward, and she was going to share. There we go, Indy.
Hello everybody, I would just like to say thank you all so much for coming to Grandma's funeral.
You're right, we can do it. To read it. Me to read it? Hello everybody. I would just like to say thank you so much for coming to Grandma's funeral. We would all like to remember Grandma as a very special woman. She took a very special part in all of our hearts, and she was the most special person I've ever met. I love her very much. It was hard to hear that she was no longer going to be with us, but I know she is going to be with Grandad. I have so many happy and fun memories with her. A couple of memories I have is Grandma's lolly jar. It was always full to the top. She had a dress-up box, and I would always wear dresses, glasses, bags and high heels. She also gave us $10 every holiday to spend. Her birthday cards were the best, even if it took me a few years to learn how to read her handwriting. She always loved her red lippy, and she would always have a big spread of food all over the table. I hope you've put Grandad to work curling your hair again, Grandma.
Thank you, Indy. It's obvious to me that Grandma meant a lot to her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Looking back through photos brings back so many memories, and today we're going to look back through Dorothy's life in photos with an audio-visual presentation. Oh, sorry. Would you like this? This is from Dorothy's sister Cheryl. It is very hard to believe you are no longer here and have gone ahead into the eternal light of God's love. You held me when I was born and have been with me ever since, sisters forever. I remember all the lovely things we did together. You were grown when I was small, but I still remember some really good days with our mum and dad. I remember us fishing in Dad's boat at Wynyard and Table Cape, driving in Mum and Dad's car with your friend Nita Rogers, visiting you at work at Coogan's furniture store when I should have been at school in grade 1 and being brought back by Mum, picnics with you and our family at Guns Plains. I remember the fairy postcard you sent just before you were coming home from Ballarat, the beautiful doily tea set you sent me for my birthday and the whole family missing you while you were away in the Air Force. For your wedding to Michael, I was chosen along with our cousin Val Singline to be your bridesmaid. We felt so lovely in our tulle and taffeta dresses, flowers in our hair and little silver frosted baskets filled with beautiful flowers. We loved all the fuss, and you were so beautiful and Michael so handsome. The birthdays were celebrated. Christmas, my wedding to Ricky, babies as they arrived, our afternoon tea parties, the sadness of losing our parents, our gardens, our children's weddings, our grandchildren, then our great-grandchildren, and the loss of your dear Michael, all together with you near. From Ricky, you were the queen of the luscious cream-filled Victoria sponge, and the butterfly cakes were a specialty of yours as well. A hug and a kiss when we met and on departure. You were always very much loved and valued sister and auntie to our children. From Linda, Cherie, Joanne, Richard, Angela and Catherine. We remember so much, Auntie Dorothy, all the happy times Mum mentioned before, but your weekly visits with a big bag of sugar-coated warm doughnuts was a highlight of our week. Birthday and Christmas presents, chocolates at Easter in a cane cellophane wrapped basket just tasted extra specially good. Fun and laughter and gold and shiny $2 coins when you were leaving. You never ever forgot our birthdays, and we always received a card at Christmas. Putting your arms around us, telling us how good we were, we knew you loved us and we loved you still. Darling Dorothy, photos and memories are our comfort now, and we will keep you in our loving thoughts and hearts until we meet again. You are good and kind, generous and loving to us all, and we will love you always and forever. Go softly, darling, into that loving light. God bless you.
There's a new world somewhere. took the supermarket flowers from the windowsill, threw the day-old tea from the cup, packed up the photo album Matthew had made, memories of a life that's been loved. Took the get-well-soon cars and stuffed animals, poured the old ginger beer down the sink. Dad always told me, don't you cry when you're down, but Mum, there's a tear every time that I blink. Oh, I'm in pieces, it's tearing me up, but I know a heart that's broke is a heart that's been loved. So I'll sing hallelujah. You were an angel in the shape of my mum. When I fell down, you'd be there holding me up. Spread your wings as you go. And when God takes you back, He'll say, hallelujah, you're home. I fluffed the pillows, made the bed, stacked the chairs up, folded your nightgowns neatly in a case. John said he'd drive, then put his hand on my cheek and wiped a tear from the side of my face. And I hope that I see the world as you did, 'cause I know a life with love is a life that's been lived. So I'll sing hallelujah. You were an angel in the shape of my mum. When I fell down, you'd be there holding me up. Spread your wings as you go. And when God takes you back, He'll say, hallelujah, you're home. Hallelujah. You were an angel in the shape of my mum. You got to see the person I have become. Spread your wings and I know that when God took you back, He said, hallelujah, you're home.
As mentioned before, Dorothy certainly was a stunner and a beautiful smile. I'd now like to invite Terry to come forward, who's going to read a poem that the family chose today. It's called Our Mother Kept a Garden. You've got it there.
We'll see how we go. Hopefully this poem I'm about to read says something about our mother, our mum, and our family, and her family. The poem's called Our Mother's Garden. Our mother kept a garden of the heart. She planted all the good things that gave us lives our start. She turned us to the sunshine and encouraged us to dream, fostering and nurturing the needs of self-esteem. And when the winds and rains came, she protected us enough, but not too much. She knew we'd need to stand up strong and tough. Her constant good example always taught us right from wrong, mark us for our pathway to last our whole life long. We are our mother's garden. We are her legacy. And we hope she feels the love reflected back from us today. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. The family have asked me on their behalf to sincerely thank you for being here today, and they'd also like to make mention of those who've travelled long distances to be here. It's so much appreciated. Following the service, you're invited to join the family here at Parkside for a cuppa and something to eat, and be sure to have a lolly from Dorothy's famous lolly jar on the table as you come in the entrance. As we near the final part of the service, let us pause for a moment and be thankful and grateful for Dorothy's life and the blessings that she brought to so many. To pay tribute and give thanks to her life, I would like to do a flower tribute. Life is as temporary and as fragile as this flower, and it grows and blossoms and fades away, and our lives are rather like that. I think of all the bits and pieces that come together to make up this flower, just as I think of all of these petals representing all the facet of a person's life that come together to make that person special. Dorothy, like all of us, had many, many petals, each representing a different part of her life, her personality, and her character. Her beautiful smile, her warm welcome, her strong will and resilience, her loyalty and her friendship, her kind heart and her generosity, her calming presence, her love and care for her family. These are just some of the things that come together to make up the Dorothy that you all knew and loved. And when life is no longer there, we have that ability to fill that space with our memories. The lovely flower has now gone, but how easily we can recall its beauty, uniqueness, and the memory of its beauty will always remain with you, just as the memory of Dorothy will always remain with you. Dorothy had 2 requests for her funeral, and that was the hymn Amazing Grace that we heard at the beginning of the service, and the Crimin version of The Lord is My Shepherd. So we're now going to sing the 23rd Psalm. If you don't wish to sing, you may like to listen along.
Amen.
I'd like to invite the family, if they wish, to come forward and say their own personal goodbye to Dorothy by placing a flower on her coffin.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way. So I'll go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way. And I will always love you. Will always love you. You, my darling, you. Bittersweet memories, that is all I'm taking with me. So goodbye, please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need.
The time has come for us to say goodbye. It's now time for the committal. Please stand if you're able. As much as there is a sunrise, there must be a sunset, and the rejoicing over birth will one day become the tears of loss. This is a journey that we all must travel, and right now it is a journey that our dear Dorothy must travel. With love and appreciation, we commit the body of Dorothy Margaret Costelloe to the purifying elements and ultimately to Mother Earth, from which all things come and to which all things in the end return. We take comfort in knowing that she goes to be with loved ones that have gone before her. With love and respect, we sadly bid Dorothy farewell. I'd like to leave you with these following words, and it might be how Dorothy sees today. I've lived my life, I've tried my best, the memories I hold dear are experiences I have known of happiness and tears. The love of my family, the care of my friends, the good times I've shared right to the end. I've travelled life's byways, seen children grow up, experienced life's living and drunk from love's cup. I leave you with memories, with thoughts of you all. I'm no longer with you, but your mind will recall the good times we shared, the laughter we had. Please cherish these memories and don't be too sad.
We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.